For more detailed information, please contact your Spaceman sales representative to learn if this option is right for you. Water or glycol cooling is also an option on most Spaceman soft-serve models. Noted by the letter W, these machines use an external water source or glycol chiller rather than a compressor and fan to cool the product. The last few popular options or configurations that are available are a spindle mixer, which is noted by the letter S, that mounts on the front of your machine. This option is only available on our larger cylinder soft-serve models and is a way of mixing soft-serve product with milk or other liquid to make blended milkshakes. An air chute, which is an additional part that can be installed after the fact, is also an option. The air chute is used to direct air upward rather than out the side or back of the machine. Air chutes can be purchased for most Spaceman machines at any time and are usually installed by the operator by removing the existing side panel and replacing with an air chute. Spaceman also offers a rolling cart or dolly to use with any countertop machine that we offer for maximum flexibility. We do have other options and configurations available, especially in international markets, but these are the most common options and configurations that you'll find in the United States market. Before we wrap up this class and move on to the cleaning and troubleshooting classes, we're going to first talk a little bit about soft-serve product in general and some important concepts to understand and watch out for as you begin operating your soft-serve machine. When looking at dispensing soft-serve product, there are two characteristics to keep in mind: viscosity and overrun. Viscosity is a measure of how firm and cold the dispensed product is. The higher the viscosity, the colder and more firm the dispensed product will be. The lower the viscosity, the warmer and softer the product will be. Overrun, on the other hand, is a measurement of how much the product expands when dispensed, or in other words, how much air is entrapped in the frozen soft serve. The amount of overrun in a product will impact the temperature of the dispensed product for a given firmness or viscosity setting. The higher the overrun, or the more air mixed into the product, the colder the dispensed product will be. The lower the overrun, or less air mixed into the product, the warmer the dispensed product will be for a given viscosity setting. When operating a soft-serve machine, our goal is to find and maintain a good balance between viscosity and overrun. Finding and maintaining this balance and keeping the product quality consistent is easier with some products than others. With some more premium products that have fewer stabilizers, the operator may need to adjust their operational procedures, such as reintroducing air into the product during slow periods or cleaning certain parts like the air tubes more often, in order to help maintain good product consistency throughout the entire day. Other soft-serve brands use temperature to determine when the soft-serve product is at a good consistency. The challenge with using temperature to determine soft-serve product consistency is that it does not take into consideration the amount of overrun in the product. As mentioned above, as overrun changes, the temperature changes for products with the same firmness. So, if you use temperature to control the dispensed product, your product will now dispense either too soft or too firm and not remain consistent as overrun naturally fluctuates up and down throughout the day. Spaceman overcomes this challenge by using the amount of energy required to turn the product rather than temperature to determine when a product is at a good consistency. We refer to this setting as viscosity. We set viscosity by referencing how much power the motor is used when turning the frozen product via the beater. The higher the viscosity setting, the more power the motor is using, the firmer the product will be. This viscosity setting does take into account the natural fluctuations in overrun and allows the dispensed product temperature to fluctuate up and down a few degrees while keeping the dispensed product at a consistent firmness. What this means is that the product that you're dispensing through a Spaceman machine will maintain a consistent firmness rather than a consistent temperature. The important takeaway from this discussion is that Spaceman machines do not set a temperature to determine the dispensed product consistency. Instead, we use a simple viscosity setting where the higher the viscosity setting, the colder and more firm the product will be, and the lower the viscosity setting, the warmer and softer the product will be. So why is all of this important? Well, if you remember back to the beginning of this class, we talked about air tubes and air pumps. These two parts are crucial in adjusting or changing the overrun in your final product, and every product is different. If something changes in the overrun equation, whether it be how thick the liquid product is, making it flow through the air tube slower, or perhaps the air tube or suction tube gets slightly clogged, it can significantly change the product that is dispensed from the machine. Most operators think that they need to adjust their viscosity setting because the product is suddenly too cold or too warm. when in fact there's actually something else that's changed that needs to be addressed. Because Spaceman machines use a viscosity setting rather than a temperature setting, once you set your viscosity correctly for a product in a desired overrun, you should never have to adjust it again if you always use the same product mixed the same way with the same ingredients and keep your machine clean. Getting your viscosity and desired overrun level set correctly is very important, and we have an entire class and multiple step-by-step guides dedicated to doing so. For the purposes of this introduction video, just know that if your product consistency suddenly changes, there's likely something else going on that you should address, but we highly recommend not changing viscosity settings as a first step. If you're ever having issues with your Spaceman machine and your product consistency, our team and our guides are always going to recommend starting with a fresh cleaning and fresh product. We recommend this because there are a lot of variables in the product consistency equation, and we want to eliminate as many of those variables as possible. This discussion about viscosity, overrun, and product variables leads us into our final section of this class, where we're going to go over some best practices for success and recap all of our available resources. All this information is available online in our in-depth knowledge base and throughout all of our step-by-step success guides. I would highly recommend that you bookmark all of these links and share them with your entire team, as most challenges that our customers face are easily avoidable or resolvable without the need for service. So let's take a look at some best practices. First up is a recap of some cleaning and basic operational items. First and foremost, always make sure that your machine has 6 inches of clearance on all sides, especially on the exhaust side. Often, customers will place cups or other things that block the air inlets and exhaust. These air inlets are vital to ensuring that enough air can get into and out of your machine to make sure it runs correctly. Without adequate clearance, parts like the compressor and motor will wear out faster and will not work as well. Second, when cleaning your machine, make sure to wipe off all excess and old lubrication and product. Remove O-rings and gaskets from all of the parts and make sure that you clean out the grooves to prevent bacteria buildup. It takes a few extra minutes, but doing this extra step of removing the O-rings and gaskets and really brushing these grooves will help keep your product tasting and looking a lot better. Third, we generally recommend to not use a dishwasher when cleaning your machine. It's a little extra work to hand wash parts, but they will last much longer if you do so. If a dishwasher is a must, definitely do not use a heated drying or very high temp wash cycle. Heated drying or high temp wash cycles will warp and damage parts on your machine. Now let's take a look at some operational best practices. First and foremost, make sure you keep your hoppers full and equal levels if you have 2 flavors. Additionally, the more you can pre-chill and pre-mix your product before pouring into the machine, the better output you're going to have. These things will help keep your product consistent, prevent error codes from popping up, reduce your downtime, and improve the amount of product that your machine can produce. Next, don't leave your machine in low mix overnight, or operate the machine whenever the low mix indicator is illuminated. Doing so can lead to a freeze up and damage your machine. We recommend that you always fill your machine as soon as the low mix indicator is illuminated. Finally, don't try to chase viscosity. If your viscosity setting was set once and the product was coming out good, it will not need to be changed again unless you change flavors or product. If your dispensed product suddenly changes, it's most likely something operationally went wrong. Check all of the basic things first and start with a good deep cleaning of the machine if nothing obvious stands out. With that, we're going to wrap up this soft serve introduction class. This was the longest of all the